If you haven't guessed, Cal's not here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. The show enCRYPTID.
I felt like that was slightly like a Digital and Dice homage. To
Yeah,
go with
it's
that.
exact. Da 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 da. Which, like I said, Cal's not here tonight. But I am your host, Tom, and along with me is our new co-host. The show is going to be a three-fer. Cal just has the night off to watch Justice League, and hopefully we have the rights to his review. I told him that was the only way he got out of this, so hopefully look out on Odd Shape Channel, and we'll get that up there once he sees it tonight. But with me is Justin Dulu. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Pretty good. I am your other host.
Doesn't make you less important by any means.
I don't know. It's fine. On Digital and Dice, I am just the one called Justin. So I mean, now I've got host in there. This is an upgrade.
Well, I think you're the one, buddy.
Oh.
So we got goblins to talk about tonight. Are you excited to discuss this?
I took like
Wow.
14, 15, maybe 16 pages of notes. This was a tough one.
So I think just by the workload alone, I have just become Justin's co-host, and Justin has just taken over this show.
No, I couldn't do that. That'd be horrible.
I'm just saying.
Because now I have to actually sort through these, and you put me on the spot because I've got to actually say things. And
well, before the time to get things together, because we have one of Janine DeBean's and what does he call it? What's the thing?
Creature Creations.
It is Creature Creations. Thank you, Kimber.
If I stay very still, I won't have to answer that.
Oh, science finds a way. Sorry guys, I'm still working out this program.
As you can see, we are suffering some problems from gremlins.
That, you know what? Works for me. I'll go with that. And we'll get into what gremlins are.
Cal's so tech
in a
savvy,
bit.
he's sabotaging it from the theater.
That's probably it. It's like they can't do the show without me. This is Janine's depiction of a goblin, and I mean, as far as fantasy standards go, and even some of the older classical depictions, it's pretty spot on.
I like it.
I like it.
Very 90s.
It does look 90s. I also like the eyes a lot.
They're hypnotizing. They're like
I know.
mild hypnotoad.
You will subscribe.
Oh.
You will subscribe.
Can I subscribe twice?
You can try. Oh, well, the video's playing on its own, so we might as well go to Tour the Lore. Moving things right along. Thanks, Cal.
He's helping us.
We're going to discuss... Yeah, he's the best. We're going to discuss some depictions of goblin throughout the ages. And I'm going to hand things over to Justin.
Okay. So goblins and gremlins are, for all intents and purposes, basically the same thing. Both originated somewhat in the 14th century in England. They were part of a class of fairy or fae folk that was known as trooping fairies or household fairies. And the leading theory is that they were kind of a holdover from Roman beliefs of a household god or spirit. Most gremlins, most goblins will perform some type of menial task around the house. They'll do small chores or other things to assist, so long as they're paid. If you don't pay or respect them, they can be very mischievous and, burn your house down, cause injury, sickness, a number of things. And that seems to be the case kind of wherever you find them.
Yeah, and I mean, and also like subsections of different fae, like they remind me a lot of brownies and stuff like
Oh, yeah.
that. They'll do chores for you as long as you either offer them like some food or get paid, like you were
Well,
talking about.
very similar to a number of other things. So kobolds also kind of match some of the criteria for a goblin, or there's of course the hobgoblin, which has that same kind of trade or craftsman feel to it. As an origin beyond England, I had a thing. I have lost the thing, so moving on. Ooh, moving ahead a little bit. Do you want to go into that one?
Oh no, they can't see that.
Oh, okay. Ah, you can't see things. Good for me. Look at me. I'm on the ball.
Justin's seen goblins.
I am all day. There was an earlier reference to goblins in Beowulf. So both goblins and ogres were said to be the sons of Cain in that kind of saga. So they've kind of been prevalent throughout most of European culture, and the more you dig kind of around the world in some fashion forever, basically.
Yeah, I know in Japanese culture they have similar ghost spirits that do things around the house and stuff for you. And again, they want either payment of some sort, like demon money or devil money. So yeah, it is something that is linked around the world, and that's the beautiful thing about most of these like mythological creatures and cryptids is just how everyone has. I'm wondering maybe the same primal fears, so that like these things manifest and as a giant. I can't think of the word. Not mass panic, but like a mass delusion. I don't know. Or are they real?
Kind of a shared existence. Sure. We find that, of course, like with lake monsters when we tackled Loch Ness, how there are serpents and various beasts kind of around the globe, and with things like the chupacabra, how reports went all the way around to Russia. And of course, we had things in the Philippines as well. Kind of a common thread and a common belief. I kind of like what you're going with there. Kind of a shared experience. It would probably be a good way to put it. Talking about the Japanese culture side of things, there was one particular type of yokai / goblin creature which I kind of appreciated, and I'm going to butcher the name. It's the Suku Morigami, which I've probably just butchered. But it's a tool. It's a tool that gains sentience and life after 100 years. So everything from containers to, I don't know, a trusty hammer would take on its own life and its own spirit after time and help you. I felt like that kind of maybe somewhat fit into our topic this evening.
Yeah.
There's so much. And the problem with this and the shared experience idea is that we also find that it is so prominent a creature that in nearly every fantasy role-playing gaming system or book, there is generally some race of tiny, diminutive, potentially reptilian-looking creatures which tinker or do something.
For
What
sure.
that
You
means, don't know.
Influential, and I feel like a springboard for a lot of monster manuals. You know what I mean? Not just that, but any fantasy setting, even like Dark Heresy Fantasy, like figured out their own way to make goblins, even though they're
Gretchens.
like mushroom spore dudes. Yeah, exactly. There is something to say about it. Is a very successful. It's almost equivalent to like the boogeyman, like folklore.
Oh yeah.
So what about recent depictions or sightings?
So the most famous would be the Kelly Hopkinsville incident, also known as the Hopkinsville Goblins. And I think you might have a picture.
I do.
Which I'm not sure we want to throw up yet. Who knows? But Kelly Hopkinsville took place in 1955, I believe. And the premise of this was that there was a sighting by a family of, I believe, 6 people in a farming community known as Kelly, shortly out of Hopkinsville in Kentucky. And during the night, a large red glowing object was seen, maybe landing, maybe crashing into the woods nearby. And from the woods came out this tiny creature, which matches the common perception of what a gremlin or goblin is. Between 2 and 4 feet tall, vaguely reptilian in nature, slightly metallic, so perhaps wearing some type of clothing, with glowing orange eyes, long talons on their fingers, sharp teeth. But during the encounter, and why it's so known, is that this family spent nearly 4 hours engaging these things with just about every gun they had in their house. Just everything they could throw outside.
Great first impression.
Well, yeah, and they had claimed they were under attack, but the description of what the creatures were doing was approaching them with their hands in the air in almost an I surrender gesture. And these people, were scared enough to start shooting at these things. Interestingly, when they were struck by bullets, they would pop into the air, they would float to the ground like a leaf, and then would continue walking or run away briefly and come back.
Now, there's speculation that these things are possibly not trolls and possibly aliens, correct?
It's really kind of split, and every year the Kelly Hopkinsville area celebrates the Little Green Goblins and the Little Green Men. They kind of embrace both as an idea. This was well reported in local media at the time, and it went national in a lot of newspapers, in which a lot of the descriptions maintained the notion that they were goblins. So if we look at the fantasy element and the older traditional side of goblins as tinkerers, then who's to say it wasn't some flying vessel that they created? At the time, it was considered serious enough of an incident that local police, state police, county sheriffs, and several MPs from the local base, Fort Campbell, all went out to these farmers' area, their house, with the family to attempt to locate these things. So, I mean, it wasn't treated with derision, and it definitely wasn't treated as these people had been drinking too much. It was a serious case for them at the time of an encounter. In all of the reading I've done, it matches the descriptions enough for me to be slightly on the fence, but fairly on board with the notion that these were what we would consider to be goblins.
Yeah. Interesting enough, though, because I know you're going to bring up something else during the war. But there was also a lot of UFOs seen during the war. So if these are possibly the same things, could a gremlin, like with how like planes, like there's stuff shorts out when a UFO apparently comes nearby?
Sure.
Is it the same thing as a goblin's manifestation?
It could be. So during the war, the things that were most referenced were Foo Fighters. They would be balls of light that would trail bombers, mainly in the European theater, for miles on end. They would move so fast that gunners on the bombers themselves could not track them. They would keep pace at times and seem to play with aircraft. They never really directly attacked anything, but they were certainly curious. Some of the coloring kind of matched the Kelly Hopkinsville incident in that some of them were red, some of them were kind of a greenish hue or blue, but all of them were balls of light that were seen first. During the war, actually before the war, kind of in the 20s and early 30s, the first instance of gremlins was with the Royal Air Force, the RAF. Scotland was known as the land of the gremlin by sheer dint of the number of plane accidents or other mechanical mishaps that were had. And the most common belief was that some type of diminutive creature either lived in that area or lived inside of the aircraft themselves and would cut cables and lines and various things to mess with a unalert pilot. I have more detail. There was, specifically, it was around 1923, a book written by a female pilot in the Royal Air Force Reserve that kind of laid them out in detail. And during the First World War, there was also some instance and some notations of gremlins themselves as maybe spies from the other side, the Axis powers or Allied powers in some instances. So much so that in munitions factories in World War II, jumping back ahead, they liked the idea so much of gremlins, or believed in them maybe half-heartedly, maybe not, enough to produce posters and warnings that gremlins think it's fun to hurt you, and if you're not careful and you don't pack away your tools or finish your job completely, they might come and mess with your stuff or mess with you specifically.
Yeah, it's funny to have propaganda. Like, at the same time, it's like the same kind of posters we would see in a hazardous work setting.
Sure.
Like, make sure you're always careful and stuff like that, but to blame it on supernatural stuff is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and it doesn't quite match with the ideas at the time. I mean, you had, of course, the standard "he's watching you" posters, or loose lips sink ships. That's a tongue twister at the end of the workday. That type of notion that it was more information or some minor action which would cause trouble, as opposed to some tiny mythical creature. So, does it lend credence? Who knows? Maybe. I'd be on board with that.
Maybe goblins are just anti-war and they were just trying to do their part.
Maybe. Or maybe they are against flying. Maybe they don't like flying machines. Get out of my skies type of thing.
The Supreme Being didn't give you wings for a reason.
Sure. Why not?
We have some quote-unquote evidence to show you. So let me pull that up for you. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Just full of music today.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, who knows? This is where we, go over some stuff and discuss if it's, I don't know, real. I think
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know if you can see. I want to call her. She peeks out of this wall here.
Oh.
And ducks back.
Yeah, I see it.
I slowed it down exponentially. The video is longer, but the only time you see it is this. So if you're wondering scale, that rock's about half the size of a boot. That's a leg there. Or no, that's an arm, I think. But that's it. Okay. We're jumping ahead here. These guys are having a good time, but let's discuss whether or not we think that first one.
I don't necessarily think the
real.
First video kind of matches the idea of a gremlin.
Yeah, it's more like a fairy, right?
Yeah, well, some other type of little person, fae folk. I'm not completely sold on the notion that all gremlins or goblins are, scaly in nature, but they're generally purported to be larger than that, around 2 to 3 feet tall. Maybe more of a brownie?
Possibly. Some kind of subsect of fae.
Sure. I could believe that. You said the video is longer.
Yeah, the video's longer. They look around that corner. They don't see it, but I don't know if they even see it in the video because I can't understand what they're saying.
Right.
It looks like they were just looking around the back end of a property or whatever, and then that thing just poked its head out. But
I almost think it would be more compelling if they hadn't noticed it all at
yeah,
all.
I don't think they did. They just like walked around. They wouldn't look for it. Like they like were walking around anyway. Like they were kicking a rock around for no reason for a little bit. So it didn't look like they were. I don't know. Like one of these videos, it kind of looks like it's framed for it.
Yeah.
But let's get to this next one here. It's a bunch of kids hanging out in the back partying. And I think they're playing soccer or something. Or football for English viewers. So these guys are just hanging out. And if you look in the back left corner, there's something there against the wall. And then it gets up and it runs.
Yeah, I see it.
So we'll go back over it. The video did that. It's much longer than that. These guys are just chilling. Now, I don't know. I hope Justice League is good. So these guys just chilling. I don't notice it back here at first, but then it's like I clearly see something there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like debris. Like something just against the wall.
Maybe a puppet?
It's a little blurry on my end. I'm not sure if that's just the quality of my internet or not, but what I'm seeing is kind of just a small-ish object. I don't see a lot of locomotion initially. There's no... it's just kind of up.
It looks like jerks up, and then something is like puppeting it across. Like
So,
it's sitting there.
Yeah.
Pop, and then scoot, 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 scoot.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm not sure that it's quite lively enough. I mean, for example, if you see a spider at the corner of your eye, just hanging out on the wall, you're going to notice it. If this thing was just chilling out on the floor next to that doorway, I would think that you might notice something larger than a spider. I would hope.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. Maybe it looked like a doll. I don't know.
That's possible.
I don't know why it would just be there. And it's like, I can help you play ball if you feed me peanuts.
I can give you some tips on how to get that ball over to that, the other corner of the room here, because obviously you don't have an outside space that you could play this in.
You gotta follow through on your shot.
Boot it.
All right. Last one. This is one of the ones I think is obviously, like, I don't know. I could be wrong. Sometimes things look so real that they look fake. So who knows? But keep an eye. Oh, there he goes. Again.
I have seen this one before.
Yeah. And then it also messes with the camera and stuff, apparently. Like, there's audio issues. That's why it says interference in some language. But and the shadow is kind of convincing. Oh, we're skipping ahead.
Yeah, no, the shadow does work.
Wow.
I mean, there does appear to be a light source over there. It is kind of coming at a slightly odd angle, though.
Right?
So if you kind of look on the wall, kind of the midpoint of the wall on the right, there appears to be some type of thing kind of blocking some light there, which would tell me that the light source is kind of behind the brown drawers pointing towards that wall.
Yeah, even looking at that, like, cardboard or whatever is there.
Yeah.
You could see that it's kind of like the light's coming in at like a right angle, and the shadow is coming in at like not a right, like 120 angle.
Yeah.
So that doesn't. But I don't know. Maybe it's because it's magical.
That's a possibility, or if it's not, if it's.
I don't know. You believe it?
I believe it's something.
I believe it is also something. Maybe.
I don't.
Maybe a guy in a green screen.
It's a convincing motion. It had really good animated motion. The shadow kind of throws me a little bit, but I don't know the space, so I can only infer off of what I can see, and what I see tells me that the shadow is a little funky, but well placed if it's fake.
It looks convincing.
It does. As to the camera malfunctioning, that's a really common trope, and it's also a really commonly reported thing. So I'm always kind of 50-50 on that. I've been to a lot of weird places and have never had an equipment failure, so
you're doing it wrong.
Apparently.
The fact that multiple things were happening, though, kind of helps sell it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the kid, you would think the kid would be a little more interested in the motion itself, as opposed to just like, oh, did you see that? And look back at the camera.
Yeah, because usually it's like kids noticing things before adults.
Yes.
All right.
So solid
now
maybe.
That baby just does not want to go to the Goblin King. And speaking of, we're going to talk about featured creatures. We asked Twitter, where did you come across goblins for the first time? Or at least, where's your favorite place for you found goblins? We got a couple of good answers. First one, I believe, is from Shuggy. And he says Goblin King.
Nice.
The Hobbit. I think the goblet is cooler than the actual goblins in the Hobbit. Sting, right? Or it's orcs? I thought it was goblin blood. Anything with goblin blood, it glowed.
Maybe.
Are also goblins in a sense, aren't they? Or are they?
I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I couldn't tell you.
I was a fan too. We need James, yeah. And then Shuggy also says Goblin King. And, of course, any chance we get to show off Bowie's face on any of our shows, we will do it.
The most serious of eyebrows.
Yeah, well, I mean, deservingly so. Serious of cod pieces, Kimber says. Speaking of Labyrinth, Kimber says Hoggle, who, again, I would say more hobgoblin, but still goblin, clearly, because it's in the name.
A lot of the right characteristics.
Yeah, especially, honestly, the color palette is what sells it for me. A lot of depictions of hobgoblins wear that, like, weird orange.
Right.
Spider-Man.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. No, I could see it.
Delisha says Warwick Davis as Grinhook is one of her favorites, and Kimber just says I have to read it. Hold on. The Goblins of Gringotts Bank in Harry Potter. I thought the original Harry Potter series pulled off the Goblin look a lot better than Fantastic Beasts.
If you go to Universal, they have amazing. They did the Gringotts Bank. For
the animatronics.
And they have animatronics of the goblins in the waiting, in the waiting area to get in, and they're.
They stare you down. Eric Monroe got a last-minute submission in. Goblins from Ghosts and Goblins.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not good at that game.
He is looking like he's about to chuck that lance.
And he will. Tom Zambino says the best Marvel villain, the Green Goblin himself. Not the best Green Goblin costume, but that's still yet to make its debut. Billy says Trolls 2. Oh my god, meme, but we kind of had to show off the trolls. Some of them kind of look cool. Some of them just look like paper mache masks.
Well, I mean, you've got your front goblins and your back goblins. So
yeah, you got your. It's kind of like how, like in all the live audience, people's in the front, but they'll use cardboard cutouts in the back.
I've been a zombie extra on one really crappy independent film, and I can attest to the front row zombies versus back row zombies.
That's hilarious. And that is it for featured creatures. Do you have any favorites that we didn't discuss?
Well, I mean, no one mentioned WoW. Nobody at all. Did nobody
Yeah.
play World of Warcraft?
And they're one of the best races just if you want to have fun.
Absolutely.
That was the cool thing. You could go back to WoW and not take it so seriously, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Alliance. No offense to any Alliance people, but
For the Horde. I played for a while.
The lore is just more interesting on the Horde side.
How about you?
But yeah, they were cool too because of the Zeppelins, and they pretty much had their own marketplace, like a black market. They had a lot of cool things going on, and just the the thrown together most of the gnomes, like very well assembled things were really cool. It's almost like equivalent to how the orcs in 40K paint things red to make them go fast, and it works.
It does work. It is awesome.
Blood gods. Well, that's ran through this. There was a lot to talk about, but we successfully did it.
You didn't do birthdays.
We didn't have any that I know of. We do have the Wheel of Weird, though. How did Cal send me the Wheel of Weird? No, I have a video. Hopefully we can hear it. If not, I will pretend to be Cal. Oh, it would help if I actually showed
more gremlins.
All right, there it is, the Wheel of Weird. Let's see if I can get the spin. I'll use my mind. Okay, so Cal's saying, sorry he couldn't be here. He's watching Justice League. But he's got to spin the Wheel of Weird. And now he's playing the cool Twin Peaks-esque music. And it lands on Area 51.
All right.
So that's going to be fun. Sorry we didn't get to hear your voice, Cal. We miss you. If you were here, it would be a more professional show, that's for sure.
Oh, I think we did fine.
He's really good at the going back and forth with the stills and stuff like that. He's like the live editor.
Okay, so there were a couple of stumbling blocks. I mean, you got to clear the goblins out of your machinery first, and we didn't manage that. That's fine. That's good.
Yeah, we should have looked at the posters before the show, and that would have helped.
We weren't careful enough.
Well, we got a couple of minutes. Did anyone want to call in? We have maybe time for one caller tonight, and we'll discuss something about goblins, whatever you want, I guess. We will not have an enCRYPTID next week. It's Thanksgiving week, so everyone's traveling and stuff like that. I'll be trying to put up some kind of content. Yeah, I want it. I want to fall asleep. I'm just thinking about my favorite thing is the after Thanksgiving sandwiches.
You got to buy an extra turkey breast just to do it. You just got to get extra turkey meat for the sandwiches for days.
So good. So good.
Now I'm
anyway, but we will be coming back the following week with a new OSP. What are we talking about? Oh, it's our Thanksgiving episode of OSP that Monday. So we'll still be able to talk about the season and the holiday.
Which we're still looking for questions.
And yes, we're still looking for questions. So send them to OddShape panel on Twitter if you have any ideas for questions for that episode.
Cranberry sauce or no cranberry sauce?
I like cranberry sauce.
So do I.
On sandwiches or no?
Yes.
I'll put a little bit.
All year round.
No.
They have turkey, like they have the Thanksgiving this one place by us. And I was there all summer eating cranberry sauce and turkey sandwiches.
Sandwich.
So I feel strongly.
Billy, send the link. You can't just jump in here? I thought you were the all-powerful Billy. Roswell's coming back. And it's going to be a statement on immigration. Aren't you all excited?
Do we need darker tones?
I think so, right? It's not like the world's depressing enough. It's too happy, I think. I think everything's going too well right now.
We're gonna have to work on that. Find us some depressing things to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna. Man, it's gonna be hard.
Release your inner Werner Herzog.
Everything is awesome.
I just like feel like flipping, like turning inside out and becoming Negatom.
Life is just an unending series of unfulfilling steps to a small box in a deep hole.
Oh, I just found out to his power.
Uh-oh.
He just, I don't know how he does it still, but as far as Animal Crossing tomorrow here, part 4. Don't miss it. And we might have a live Odd Shape Plays of Fallout next week once I figure out the schedule. And there's going to be some other live games coming your way once I figure out the details. But a Nega reference. It was a Scott Pilgrim thing.
Never saw it.
Oh man, if there is a movie to sum up our generation for better or worse, it's that movie.
Oh,
what movie is that? I missed it.
We were talking smack. They're talking
Go ahead, I don't care.
We were talking about Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, shit, that is our generation. Or your generation, whatever. It's an awesome movie.
Yep. So what goblins have come across your life?
Any of my ex-girlfriends, a couple of teachers I know, a couple classmates actually. I've come across quite a couple goblins, but I literally looked up a couple minutes before the show aired because I didn't have enough time to do proper research, and I just looked up some goblin facts, and it's actually kind of hilarious, some of them.
Let's hear them.
Okay, well, apparently goblins hate horses, and while goblins excel at riding animals, they do not quite get the whole horse thing. In fact, their hatred of all things horse-related is only matched by their fear of horses, who tend to step on goblins who get too close. I kind of get that. They also hate dogs. And apparently they can ride dogs, which is also hilarious. I guess they're confusing goblins with elves or something.
Like a battle dog?
That'd be pretty awesome.
Inside saddles?
Yeah. They raid junkyards. They love to sing. Whether they're good or not, I have yet to experience. Of course, they are sneaky little freaks. I mean, that's their words, not mine. They're a little crazy, which is also very true. Because they are very, very, very sneaky bastards. They're ferocious. They like fire, like a lot. They like to burn things.
That does match with some of the things I was reading.
Yeah, they're apparently pyros. They get stuck easily, which is hilarious. And they believe that writing steals your soul.
I am screwed.
They never use writing.
There's a lot of power in words. A lot of older religions, like, there's a reason why things were taught, like, from, you know what I mean? Because you would be giving that symbol all of the power. And then if anyone else got that symbol, like, the thing that makes me think of it the most is White Wolf's mage. They have, like, the primordial, like, if they know that your true name, like, they can do whatever they want.
To name a thing is to give it power.
So the Rumpelstiltskin effect, as you can call it, because he does not give his name, but once they know his name.
Yes. Or the Mr. Mistlepick thing.
Ah, Mixelspitlik. It's a very tough name to pronounce and even harder to spell.
He's kind of a goblin.
He's kind of like a goblin. He's more of a trickster.
He's voiced by Goblin Free, right?
Gilbert
Goblin.
Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure he voices him.
Yeah, he is Mr. Mix. And also On Supergirl, there's that dude that kind of looks like Markiplier, who's Mr. Mixel-Spitlick. I think he looks like Markiplier.
They have him on Supergirl?
Yeah, they had Mr. Mixel-Spitlick episode last season. It was pretty funny too. But
I'll have to look into this. I've never heard of it.
Oh yeah. He tries to marry her, and hijinks ensue.
Okay, I can believe that. Is he a regular dude?
No, he is a being from the fifth dimension. He has infinite power.
I mean, but does he look like a regular dude?
I mean, yeah, he looks like a regular dude. I think the actor that plays him looks like Markiplier, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, if he doesn't look like a chibi old man floating in the air.
But didn't Buckaroo Banzai have something
he's
to do
better
with
than
that
the
one?
one they had in Smallville, Mr. Mikhail Mixel-Spitlick. Ugh, that was terrible.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Oh no, yeah, it was bad. Like it was like the complete opposite. Like nothing related to Mr. Mixel-Spitlick. That's also fun to say. But yeah, Goblins. I'm glad that the Harry Potter ones were mentioned. I forgot about old Scrotum Beard, the Goblin King from The Hobbit, because he was gross. And
Justin, what were you saying?
Somebody fact check me, but we were talking about other dimensions or fifth dimension, and it brought something to the back of my mind about Buckaroo Banzai. Didn't he deal with goblins in some aspect? Like, person he was fighting used goblins and something. Trail off into I don't quite remember.
I don't know. I've never played Buckaroo Banzai.
No, it's a movie, and you hurt my soul just a smidge.
Oh yeah, I've heard of this one.
I'm confused because we've talked about both franchises. When you say Scrotum Beard, do you mean King from The Hobbit, or do you mean
from The Hobbit, not Bowie? I love Bowie. Bowie's amazing. No, that's not a cod piece. Yep.
Billy, I was saying Malfoy, not the Goblin.
Oh, well, yeah, Malfoy's pretty much a goblin. So
you ruined the punchline.
That's what I do. I ruin things.
Setting them up and knocking them down.
You're a goblin. He's a gremlin.
Sorry, Mom.
What's that?
Lectroids?
Right. Never mind. I was completely wrong. Ignore me.
Are they based on goblins, possibly?
I don't actually think so.
Oh, yeah, I just
remembered
remembered.
Was dimensions and other dimensions, and then I thought Buckaroo Banzai because my brain fires weirdly at weird points in time, and I just go, "Hey, no, that wasn't that big." I
remembered a different goblin. There was one in Merlin. There was a goblin episode, and he's voiced by Mr. Weasley from Harry Potter, and yeah, a lot of funny stuff happens in that. And
goblins tend to be depicted as being funny in a lot of things. Obviously, we talked about WoW earlier, and a lot of times there's a comedic element from their kind of slapdashery.
It's probably because of their appearance, and they're just like they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just having fun with it. They're just like, okay, we're just these little dudes. We might.
Oh no. The gremlins have turned against Billy now because he's lagging out.
Oh no.
The gremlins have turned against Billy, huh? That it wasn't the main character in the film Gremlins named Billy.
Oh my god, it all comes together. Billy, where can people find you?
I could do the Gizmo voice, but I don't want to freak you guys out.
Oh, no,
But,
please do.
You guys can find me on Twitter at BBusterBill, all capitalized. I resent my article to Tom. I literally posted the entire article in a email. So hopefully that comes up sometime in the future. And I really hope you guys just get a chance to read it because I worked hard on it. And yeah, I'm always on here, always on enCRYPTID, always on Odd Shaped channel, and yeah, just hit me up on Twitter.
Awesome, man.
It's always great talking with people, but yeah, have a good night. The truth is out there.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I want to believe. All right, Justin. Well, I think now is as good a time as any to wrap up. You want to plug anything coming up for you?
Digital and Dice tomorrow, talking about open worlds and confined worlds. We worded this better in the planning meeting that I've forgotten. There'll be some differences between things mentioned, and then we're off to a local bar to meet fans and continue the discussion. So if you happen to be in Washington State and you want to make a weird drive, look for details on there. Find me on Twitter. That's always good. Poke me there.
Where?
Say things, and I'll tell people. And that's at JThuluPhoto. I still have no idea what I'm doing, and that's going to be what I say every time.
You can also, if you're into Digital and Dice and you like what they do, you can always help them by supporting their Patreon.
Our Patreon, we do have a donor. I was surprised the other day. We actually got one.
Oh, nice! Congrats, guys.
And it's not me anymore. I used to be the one. I used to give us $1. It was.
Yeah. It's like when you work with a job and you have a tip jar, you always got to throw $1 in there to make it look like people care.
Like, oh, somebody loves me. Oh, it's me. I love me. But,
all right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight on this episode of enCRYPTID. When we come back after Thanksgiving, it'll be the three of us, Justin, Cal, and I. So look forward to that. We'll be talking about Area 51. So
I've been near there.
Has gone through there. If you've been through there, let us know. Maybe we'll get your story on the podcast that night. Justin, I saw something else really interesting that Digital and Dice is going to be doing, which kind of is like a bridge. We could like double feature these. No? It was on Twitter.
It was on Twitter. I did announce it. Starting in December, Digital and Dice will be launching a twice a month or bi-monthly show. It's about 45 minutes in length, talking about creepypasta critters, video game beasts, and horror monsters. It's called Creature Pasta. Look for more details on Twitter soon, and we'll probably mention it a couple of times on the next few episodes of Digital and Dice. Similar to this, so if you enjoy enCRYPTID here and what everyone's doing over here, head over there and watch us attempt to kind of capture some of that magic and lightning in a bottle and make it work for fake things, like completely fake things that are still creepy as heck.
Yeah, and even if they're fake, they inspire some people to do some horrible stuff in some instances. So it's very interesting.
First episode will be Slenderman. Figure we'll tackle the big one right in the get-go.
Nice. Get a little Enderman shout out in there from Minecraft. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the whole series sounds delicious. So it's going to be Creature Pasta over at Digital and Dice.
Yes.
Guys, that's it for us. Have a great night. We hope you stay spooky, and the truth is out there.
I thought it was end transmission.
And transmission.